Good morning, everybody. You know, really pleased with what I saw this morning. Went about an hour and a half. Got, I think, roughly 90, 95 snaps. You count some of the special teams work. Probably 80 to 85. Offense and defensively. Everybody got a chance to participate today. I thought it was a good second scrimmage. Offense came out. Really did well. There early. You had some different situations. A 2-minute drive. Tried to create just some things that I wanted to make sure we saw. 2-minute situation, red zone. Offense series. Worked some 2-point play situations, and then went out and just played ball. And tried to take the situations as they came. I thought our guys competed. Jordan did an outstanding job today in his work. I think Johnny, Keon, Jaheim, I think all guys showed up, with scores at some point throughout today. I thought that there were some good runs. I thought the defensive line was impactful in creating some pressure on the quarterback. There was you saw guys flying around. There was a few missed tackles that we got to clean up. But we also able to. I know we created a takeaway or two is something we want to do. I think Greedy Vance got an interception, which was a really good play on his behalf. But all in all, I thought it was a really good work day for us. Our guys have competed hard, through 15 practices, and we still have kind of a modified day that's going to show up on Wednesday as we continue to work and establish what it's going to look like as we get into our LSU prep. But I think this film and just the way our guys competed is really going to help put some guys in position to be able to help us and emerge in bigger roles. And like I told the team, there's some guys that have played a lot of football that you got to work and you got to go get better, or you can be passed by. And that's I really like our depth. I like the just the competitiveness within each room. But as we're getting closer, every day count, every rep counts, and we get a couple days off. Let our bodies heal up a little bit. And, like I said, our guys have been pushing at a very high level. So I'll give them. Tomorrow will be off. We're going to be meetings on Tuesday, and then we come back to work there on Wednesday as we prep to get into to game week. There that following Sunday. But all in all, really pleased with the guys. No major injuries that showed up today, which was something that second scrimmage you're always always concerned, I guess, about. But I thought our guys went and played. Jared was impactful early. I thought that Tatum Bethune, he's been limited a little bit. He really flew around. You saw you see his presence back. Back there. Kalen DeLoach. Really, I thought did some good things. But it's definitely fun seeing guys fly around.
All right. First question will be Chris Nee from Noles 247.
Morning, Mike. On the offensive line, through 15 practices, and especially today, how do you feel about that group that you feel like is emerging as your first 5 up?
Well, that's I feel really good. And you mentioned the first 5 up. I think we have 8 guys that have put themselves in a position that I think these guys we can go win with. And there's still some moving pieces. There's still some things that we're gonna look at. I feel like there's a couple guys below that can play themselves up into expanding that group. But I thought especially early on today. I thought that group was really good. We limited some guys. Maurice didn't get a ton of work today. Him and Casey, were probably the first 2 that we pulled after however many reps, 20 reps or so. And those guys have looked really good. Jeremiah Byers, love what I'm seeing from him. Rob Scott, Bless Harris. It's an impressive group. Obviously we got Meach, and I can go through most of those guys, but you really like the way they work together, even when they're being moved and put in different positions. Because that's part of the game. And Darius Washington, I think is playing his best ball since he's been here. And he played some center today. Obviously we all know the versatility he brings, but he is. I thought he did a really nice job.
Next will be Arish Hafel from Warchant.
you guys have spent so much time during this camp, building depth and competition, mixing guys and rotating guys. But is it kind of fun when you see like the top 22 or 25 or 30 guys get out there and get a clearer picture of what it might look like on September 3rd?
Yeah, I mean, that was one of the things that, today was important about today. To see, that first offense go out and you see, different guys play, with and, play off of each other and the ways that we could utilize different skill sets, talents. There are, I feel like we have a really good two deep that can play on both sides of the ball. And I really, there's not a position right now that I'm overly concerned with. Now there might be some positions if we get a couple injuries or a couple guys down that could be thin quickly. But I love the competitiveness and then seeing how not necessarily just an 11 that go out there, but to see within the course of a series where you have 16, 18 guys that might find the way in different personnel groupings or whatever the situation calls for, just base substitutions and the way our guys are pushing with that. I thought our tempo was better today. It was something we still have to improve. I mean, that's going to be a critical factor here these next 2 weeks is to be able to play faster. And I'm not just talking about offense, it's defense, everybody involved. Just the efficiency of our communication. We're trying to create those challenging elements. It's good to see them out there and all working together.
All right, next will be Brendan Seminoles from Noles 247.
Hi, Mike, you mentioned Johnny, Keon, Jaheim as guys who were productive today. When they're all able to give you their A game on the field at the same time, I guess what kind of matchup issues at that kind of size do you see having an impact on the offense this year?
Yeah, I mean, I think the experience that those guys bring, the playmaking ability that they bring, the physicality that they bring, because it's not just you could talk about guys catching the ball, but I mean, just they're all big, strong, determined blockers, which does great things for the run game. It allows us to maintain great balance and hopefully creating more one-on-one opportunities for guys there on the edge. But I think it's a really good group and it's something exciting. DESTYN Hill had a really big catch in a 2-minute situation. Made a big play there. So it's like even Winston Wright got back. I mean he was back out there today and he was a guy I wanted to see in extensive work. And he had a big play. Made a guy miss, which is you start looking at where that group can go on the perimeter. The multiple tight ends, the multiple receivers. We should be able to play fast, and we should be able to stay fresh, and we should be able to have a lot of different options of where to go with the ball depending on what we're seeing. So it still comes down to us and our execution and the efficiency of that. But I like the growth I'm seeing.
Next will be Kurt Weiler from the Osceola.
And Mike, you talked about Greedy Vance. I feel like, I guess there weren't any takeaways. I know in the last scrimmage, it feels like there's been a lot throughout the fall, though. I know that was a challenge from Coach Fuller, Coach Surtain about creating those takeaways. I guess, how have you seen, what do you think's been the biggest difference for them of just, it feels like that's been a major turning point through the preseason 15 practices?
It's we've got really good players, and I think that I think Coach Surtain has done a remarkable job of just giving them continuing to build upon the tool and the skill sets that they have in playing the ball, and we want guys that are playmakers back there, and I think we've got a good group of that. But then also when you have a defensive front that can create pressure, make things uncomfortable for the offense and the quarterback. I think Coach Fuller does a great job with variations of looks and schemes, and all that works together in allowing more opportunities to take the ball away. And we want it to be a point of emphasis. We want that to be something that this defense is known for, and it's whether it's creating a takeaway or forcing a 3 and out. Both get the ball back to the offense as quick as possible. So those are things that we're really tied into, and I know our guys are working hard at being the best we can in that regards.
We'll go back to Chris Nee.
You spoke about Jordan having a good day. How did the other quarterbacks do, and how do you view the QB2 situation after 15 practices?
I think they all had their moments today, and I think Tate has had a really good fall camp. I think you see AJ, you see Brock. I mean, Brock is progressing at a very a high level, and I really like the consistency of what he's shown. But he had a couple plays today that he's got to learn from, and it's part of being a true freshman. But ultimately, for where we are right now, I mean, nobody's going to stop a game just because a true freshman is putting himself in a position to step on the field. So we've got to we all have to push. I mean, I think Tate has done his overall understanding of the offense, what we want him to do. We've seen it, live in action. But I mean, all those guys are continuing to compete. And today's film will be a great evaluation. But we grade everything. I mean, so we have 15 practices, 2 scrimmages. Like I mentioned last week, we had guys live, a couple guys live that we wanted to see them in those. When the possibility of being hit, of just what it looks like, and so we've got great evaluations in all those areas, and you're definitely excited about that quarterback room. It's a talented room, and it's one that I believe that I believe we got one of the best quarterbacks in the country. In Jordan Travis, and ultimately you got guys that we can win with that are in that room with him.
We'll go back to Ira.
In college football today, a lot of teams, you guys included, put some of your best players on special teams. But have any of these freshman newcomers, impressed you guys to a point where you feel like we need some of these guys out there too?
Yeah, I mean, it's been impressive watching that group as they're coming in and they're learning. The defensive back group, Ashton Barker, Conrad Hussey, Edwin Joseph. I mean, we can, you go through all of them. I mean, Quinn has been here, so we kind of, understand what he's going to be. Jabril Rawls, I think, has a great future. But seeing that defensive back group is really, really good. I think a couple of those guys will be able to help us here this year as they continue to progress. I love, a couple guys at linebacker that really stood out. Have stood out to me is Justin Cryer and Blake Nicholson. Both those guys I think have really taken a step. They're battling to see 5, 6 where they're going to sit in that rotation. Of battling for that time defensively, but on the flip side of it, I think it'd be great impact players there on special teams, and offensively. We're continuing. It's Destin Hill is a guy that at the skill positions, but then all of our tight ends I think have a chance, which is something we've wanted to create. And I mean these guys have really embraced that, and most of the other receivers I think are guys that are veteran or have shown that they can do that.
Go back to Brendan.
We asked you about the kicking game probably about this time last week. I guess now with the extra data points, how are you feeling about it? Is anyone kind of emerging in that battle as who you would lean on this season?
It's been great, and today we had a game-winning kick situation that showed up in the 2-minute. In a 2-minute portion of it, and was able to go out there and execute. I mean, same thing as in quarterback. You go and you grade every day, chart every kick. Looking at what team, whether it's charting team, pressure situations. And I like what I see, and I think. Not ready to sit there and say one way or the other, but we've had some great consistency from both those guys, and I think both of them absolutely can win with us or win for us. But I think it's a very talented kicking room that is absolutely improved through the competition. So proud of those guys. I thought Alex had his best day punting today. Putting the work that he had, did a remarkable job, and really like where he's at as well.
We'll go back to Kurt.
I guess were you talked a lot, I guess, about the passing game. I guess were the running backs, what do you see from them today? Were they live again? And I guess how big do you think that rotation might be as you get into game prep? It might be, because I, as a guy who I don't know if we thought factored into it, but he's been pretty impressive this preseason.
Yeah, we had Trey and LT were we had them in green jerseys. They were live last week, and we've seen a lot of good work out of those guys, and their approach to practice. I didn't need to see them tackled to the ground a whole lot of times. You're here today, so they got some work and they did some good things. But I really like the emergence of that next group of backs. And Rodney was a little limited this week. We're planning on getting him back active and rolling here. This upcoming week. But I mean, he had a remarkable scrimmage last week. So love what I'm seeing from him. Keziah has really emerged as a guy that can help us, as well as C.J. Campbell. Both of them had big runs today. C.J. looked really good on a couple of cuts and making guys miss. But I think that group is, we got 5 guys that I feel really comfortable being able to go in and play at a high level. Obviously we feel like we've got dynamic players there, and we'll see what that looks like. Trey Benson is him and LT. They played a lot of football here, and but you got guys that can be very explosive and dynamic with the ball in their hands, and with and without the ball in their hands. So I really like that group, and I'll tell you guys proud of today. Sam Singleton, we've kind of been nursing a little bit of an ankle this past week, and he came out today and showed speed, showed elusiveness. We needed that day for him. He had a really good first week, week and a half. But I was proud of Sam. I found him after the scrimmage and get him a little love, because it was exciting for what we needed, and I think a little bit for what he needed too.
Go back to Ira.
You never want to see it, but it happens in a lot of camps, college football teams around the country, where you get to a point after maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, where kind of the monotony sets in, and you have to fight through that. Did you guys ever have that? Have you had that during this camp? And how have you seen them respond to that?
I've been really pleased with the approach and the work. I mean, there was one of our first I guess less physical practice. We practice physical, and I mean it's we're going to go out there and we're going to push each other to get better. But one of the first days that we took the pads off or backed off of a little bit of the physicality part of it. We had a mental lapse for a few periods there in practice, and it was addressed, it was corrected, and and improved upon. I've been proud of this team, and it's life. I mean, you go through life, and there's times you want to find the moments to be comfortable. You want to find the moments to take a break, to take a rest. We build times for rest in, but when it's time to work, we got to work, and that's where the maturity of the team. I've been really pleased with that. The competitiveness of the team. Even guys that maybe have not been available at times. Just to see the engagement that they have from a mental aspect. I mean, Shane Brown today was awesome. I mean, when we were repping some of the younger guys, and he's standing out there in the middle of the field with me, helping kind of coach the defensive some of those neat defensive secondary guys. That I was just. You see, he could be over there sitting on the sideline and drinking water or Powerade, but he chose to come out, and that's what you want within a team. You want to see guys that encourage each other, they push each other, because the emotion and the desire that you have to want to take a break, it's always going to be there. But when you're willing to push and do a little bit more, I mean, that's where you get a chance to take some giant steps. So we still got another week before school starts, and so we'll still have those challenges. I'm sure will be there for us, and we get to make the choice of how we respond.
All right, next will be Perry from Tomahawk Nation.
So just following up on that a little bit, do you think that baseline for their energy, for their level of engagement came since spring, or do you think this is something that has developed over the past season, having a bulk of that team returning from last year?
I mean, it's a progression in life, and everybody comes from different places, different backgrounds, had different expectations. But when you get here, I mean, there's one expectation to get better every day and to push to be your best. That is what the expectation is. It's not for the freshman that comes in any different than for the head coach. If we cannot be that for each other, and probably not willing to do all the things that are necessary to go accomplish all that we have in front of us. And I tell you guys all the time, I'm not going to set limits on this team. I really love coaching this team. I love coaching this team because I watch the growth. I see the maturity. I mean, you have to have momentary failures as we go through this too. You have to get knocked down. You got to because I think in those times you get a chance to get up, to get better, to see who's really going to help hold you accountable, because if you didn't care, I mean, we wouldn't do it. But we care about these guys and their growth. And so yes, are we better now than we were in the spring? We have to be. All right, but on the flip side of it, I think it's been something that's been built here over years. And when guys come in the recruiting process, they know the expectation. And that's why I tell them all the time, Florida State is not for everybody. It is just for the real ones. It's for the ones that when they say they want to go and accomplish great things, then, we're going to help them work towards it.
All right, last one's going to go to Ira.
You guys were real excited when you brought in Coach Surtain. And he obviously has had a lot of success everywhere he's been. But after being around him now 8 months, what he's added to the program, can you just talk about some of the things he's brought to the staff, but also the players?
Yeah, it starts with the relationships. I mean, the football IQ, the experiences, all those things. That's the extra benefit. But you see a man that cares about people, and he cares about the staff. He cares about who he gets to do it with. You see a man that really cares about his players, not just the guys that are sitting in his room, but seeing the engagement that he has. Across the entire team. I mean, it's what we want. And, been fortunate throughout my coaching career to be around a lot of great assistant coaches and guys that are now head coaches. And, you watch how they interact with each other. And, there's two characteristics that are an absolute necessity in any person that comes and works on the staff. And one, they got to be led from the heart. The relationships have to matter. And then they got to be willing to pour everything into the guys they have, on a daily basis, not just who they are on the field, but making sure that in every area that we're willing to give all to help our players to achieve what they can achieve. And Pat is a wonderful example of that. He did it at the high school ranks, and you saw the growth and development, and the incredible program that he was able to build up. But then, on the flip side of it, what he's been able to do here in 8 months has been really, really special.
All right, thank you, Coach.
All right, thank you, guys.